Okay. All right, we're in this interview with Mrs. Rickeah Henderson. Today, our subject is going to be social work and mental health. Rickeah, nice to have you here today. Should you like give us a little bit of an introduction of who you are?
Sure. As you mentioned, my name is Rickeah Henderson. I am a senior social work major at the University of Central Missouri. And yeah.
Okay, okay. So now we know that you're in social work. So going into the first question, what would you say is the origin of your career field? Like, what are the basic like things where society wanted social work to introduce?
So, the idea of social work and like where that originated from is like welfare. So I don't really know like the historical context, like what time period, but basically there's a period of time where like like society wanted to like assess what children were in like adequate, the idea of being in an adequate home, and
Mm,
so they had like these people come in to the homes and like see if there's a male figure in the house that can pay the bills, and how things are being like taken care of, whether it's like water, is there food. So when that started, the idea of like welfare and making sure that people have what they need was implemented. So I know that social welfare is like one of the core values of social work, which kind of correlates with like wellness for children and just people in general.
okay, okay. And what made you interested in pursuing this career path?
So that's a great question. For me, I always say that like I don't feel like I chose social work, but social work chose me. And I say that because in high school, I never really like questioned too much about like what I wanted to do. But whenever I came across social work, the idea of engaging with other people, being a guide when it comes to resources and just having conversations, that was something up my alley. And so I just knew that that's what I wanted to do. So I just pursued that and I haven't run back.
Okay, okay. So this leads me into the next one. Who have you impacted in your work in this field? And what group did you want to impact the most when you're working in this field?
Who have I impacted and
Mhm.
working in this field, and what else?
And like, what age group, do you really want to focus your social work skills on?
Um, I feel like I impact everyone on a on a day-to-day basis because I am always utilizing my social work skills, even if it's not in a professional setting, whether it's just the people that I come across on campus, like talking to my friends and like hearing like their issues and responding empathetically, or like helping people kind of like reframe the negative things that they may say, whether that's friends or just like people I come across. Um, but I know that I also, this summer, I actually had the opportunity to go to the Dominican Republic for a study abroad. And I would say, in doing so, I was able to help a lot of kids at this nonprofit organization, extracurricular nonprofit organization. And I feel like I helped those kids a lot because,
Mm,
first of all, there was a big language barrier. And so they kind of already looked at me like I was an outsider because, I'm not fluent in Spanish. However, I do have a background in knowing how to have like general conversations. I studied Spanish for about 3 years, and so it kind of shocked them, and like we kind of broke that barrier when I was able to like practice and get help from the kids. And so really helping people has no like look or age limit, or it has no restrictions. You just have to be willing to learn. So
yeah, yeah. I feel even on my perspective, everybody needs somewhat of help, somewhat of a ear to listen to what they have to say.
right.
to be able to
Uh, can you hear me? I think the connection went kind of foggy. Um,
Okay, I think I lost you for a second. My internet has some problems and some issues.
okay. You
All
were
right.
saying that something,
No, yeah, I was saying that everybody definitely needs an ear to hear
right?
and to feel to have their problems heard and met, so that they do not lose themselves in that problem, or they do not put others in danger with that problem, also themselves. So that's
Yeah.
definitely essential. How essential is social work and mental health for you as a social worker?
Um, the longer that I've learned and I've like been in the field of social work when it comes to like courses and volunteering and stuff. Actually, I'm taught a lot to prioritize my mental health as a future mental health professional. So it's kind of the idea of like, how are you going to help other people if you don't help yourself? And so my professors really, really stress the idea of self care, knowing what burnout is, and like ways to prevent yourself from going down like this there's a word for it when you basically sometimes find yourself over identifying with people and their trauma because you care so much as a mental health professional, and so you have to do a lot of like self-reflection and a lot of um, just finding things where you feel like you're just living life and you're just enjoy finding things that you just enjoy to kind of help deal with that balance aspect. So it's very important. And
Okay. And I think you a little bit. You answered that a little bit. My
okay.
next one. What are the pains that come with being a social work? What have you felt that has been a detriment against yourself while being in this field, and also your mental health? Because I couldn't think that probably working with other people's problems, it brings a lot of grief to yourself, doesn't it?
Yeah. So, well, yeah, burnout is a big one. So a lot of times we get wrapped into hearing people say about how they talk about their emotions, how they feel, their mental health, and it can kind of like affect us as professionals. Um, so that is a big thing, but at the same time, it's kind of something that you sign up for. If you're going to be in the field of social work, you have to be prepared to know how to disassociate from other people's problems. And also be able to acknowledge that you have your own. We are not um, we're not genies. We don't just tell people how to fix their lives. At the end of the day, one of the biggest things in the profession of social work is to give our clients the autonomy and the empowerment to know that they are the agents of change for themselves. So we are guides we are brokers of resources, but we ultimately have to allow clients to make their own choices, like we make our own choices. And so that is their determination, the freedom of determination that they have. Also, a lot of times there's a lot of stigma when it comes to being a social worker, such as, oh, you're not going to get paid that much, and oh, you deal with mental health. You can be a social worker and not work in mental health. You can work in childcare. You can work with older adults. You could just be a therapist for someone with everyday problems. It doesn't have to be like huge diagnoses like schizophrenia, and depression. And yes, we do help people in that area, but it doesn't have to be our primary focus. Um, and you can get a good job in social work. It's actually very marketable, becoming more and more as society progresses because everybody needs somebody with resources.
Hmm. So okay, interesting. So this is my personal understanding, trying to understand this. There's a social stigma with both males and females, and like, oh, you should be able to handle this, without worry, or you should be able to deal with this without, or you look weak here and there and all that. When people say that, as a social worker, how would you combat those who may feel that way or been told that growing up, like, oh, we don't need, or you don't need to be talking to somebody about that. You should be able to just stand on 10 toes and handle it yourself. Or how do you feel about when people say that type of stuff?
So like biologically, and developmentally, we're built to um drive ourselves off of relationships and social connections. That is a natural thing. And so there shouldn't be any like double barriers when it comes to communication and expressing how you feel, no matter what other people may think or believe, because bottling up those things or suppressing those things is doing nothing to favor that person and then the people that are impacted around that person.
Mm.
So there's a lot that I could say, but Um, I think people who still think that way need to do some self-reflection within themselves because it's just not realistic and it's not fair. We have voices for a reason. And I say all the time, talking is free, has no cost. So no man or no woman should feel like, what they have to say is not valuable. Now, talking to the right people is what matters because some people they don't relate or they can't empathize with what you're going through, and so that's why it's very important to find that social support, that safety net that will be beneficial to you, and help you have like a better quality of wellness in your life.
Mm. Okay. Well, that's a great answer. That's a great answer. I like that. What can you say to newcomers that are entering the field and want to become social workers themselves? What advice do you have for them?
Social work is not easy, but it is very rewarding. I believe that we are world changers, that we are very versatile, and we are highly marketable. In my personal experience, as I take my last few semesters of courses, I've really realized how much we kind of mesh with other majors.
Mm.
We talk about ways to market, we talk about policy analysis. We talk about grant writing. We, of course, talk about working with children. We talk about the LGBTQIA community. We talk about how a lot of different things that we see as white and black may be gray, such as when it comes to policy, there's a lot of like bipartisan things that people don't like to acknowledge. And they always want to see it as, oh, Democrats or Republicans. But there's a lot of things that people come together about, and it's kind of like looking at those motives and understanding the past so we can shape our future the best way that we can. And so I would just say don't give up and know um where your heart is. Like if you want to help people and you want to engage with people in the community, this is a place to be. But it's not going to be something that's easy, and it's going to teach you a lot about yourself. You will be stressed, you will be challenged, but it is you're helping you're a guide to help people in their own lives. So it's it's that's a part of it, and that's a part of the journey. And yeah.
Definitely noble cause and sacrifice to be able to be out there and try to make a change and difference for communities high and low, old or young. Most
Mm.
definitely is a great sacrifice. And this leads to my last question here. As what factors as social work can be modified to make the social worker and also the person that they're helping better? Like, what can you say should change for the social worker to help y'all, but also help out the person you're helping out? Like, what rules, what ways of wages, what
um
things do you feel as yourself that you see that should be improved on?
Well, I mean, like I said, we are usually overworked. A lot of social workers have to do case management where they take on all these cases. Like, I know a lot of people have seen or at least heard of like the whole caseworker thing, where, there's caseworkers that are involved with adoption or foster care. A lot of times, that is like a social worker's first job, and they do not get paid much at all. Um, there are a lot of jobs out here where social workers won't even make $45,000 a year.
Mhm.
So I think we just need to spread more awareness for the profession of social work and all the things that we do. And also, people need to understand that once again, there are a lot of diverse things that we can do as social workers. You don't have to write policy and change grants to change the what am I looking for? To help change someone's perspective on life. It doesn't have to be a room full of people. It could be one person, you listening to them and just hearing their stories and letting them know that their feelings are valid. And so, um, we all have everyone has a place in social work, and it doesn't have a specific look, it doesn't have a specific pay, but whatever you're passionate about, you can find in the profession of social work. And so I just think there needs to be more awareness about what we truly do, um, how impactful it is, and how exhausting it can be. Because being understood as a social worker personally helps me want to keep driving forward, just knowing that I have support on my side, even from people who don't know what it feels like to work in this profession. It helps me know that, like, at least what I'm doing is acknowledged and appreciated. So,
Okay. Well, that wraps up my interview questions. Thank you for your time, and thank you for the great knowledge that we've gained here today from social work and mental health. Is there any lasting comments you have for anybody out there watching this?
um, if you have any questions about social work, hit me up. Other than that, no. Thanks
Mm.
for having me.
All right. Thank you for your time. You have a blessed day.
Thank you. You as well.